Hello, we're continuing our exploration of the book of James and we're in chapter 3. So we have learned so far that James doesn't hold back and seems to kick us from one thing to another with his teaching. We know he doesn't teach theology. He doesn't really talk about Christ and his resurrection or crucifixion. He's all about living as a Christian and how we should do that effectively. So we're starting chapter 3, verse 1 to 12, and this section is called Taming the Tongue. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers and sisters, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. For all of us make many mistakes. Anyone who makes no mistakes in speaking is perfect, able to keep the whole body in check with a bridle. If we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we guide their whole bodies. Or look at ships. Though they are so large that it takes strong winds to drive them, yet they are guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great exploits. How great a forest is set ablaze by a small fire, and the tongue is a fire. The tongue is placed among our members as a world of iniquity. It stains the whole body, sets on fire the cycle of nature, and is itself set on fire by hell. For every species of beast and bird, of reptile and sea creature, can be tamed and has been tamed by the human species. But no one can tame the tongue, a restless evil, full of deadly poison. With it we bless the Lord and Father, and with it we curse those who are made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth come blessing and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this ought not to be so. Does there spring forth from the same opening both fresh and brackish water? Can a fig tree, my brothers and sisters, yield olives, or a grapevine figs? No more can salt water yield fresh. Well, he's got a lot to say about taming the tongue, and he starts off, doesn't he, about teachers, and that's a really poignant sort of thing to say, because if you think about it, if you remember when you were a child, the sort of impact your teachers can have on you and the impact people in church can have on your thinking in their teaching. I remember when I was at school, we had at primary school, we had the most amazing head teacher called Tony Fletcher. I absolutely loved that man. And I recall writing probably the most awful bit of poetry. I can assure you it was not anything to write home about. But he made such an impact on me by coming up to me and saying, "What a fantastic poem that was, Helen. You did really well." And I remember thinking, wow, I did really well. And that's the impact, because it didn't just stop me thinking, "Oh, that's great," and walk home. I felt good for ages. It boosted me. And that is the impact a teacher can have on a student or anyone that they are teaching. We listen to them, and sometimes we believe them, whether they're right or not. We just believe them. So think of the devastation somebody can feel if they have a teacher who just condemns, puts down. That would be awful. So we have to really think about when we are teaching people, when we, how in whatever circumstance we might be with a small child, a grandchild, our own children, what impact does our tongue have on those children? And then, of course, it goes on to say how great a forest is set ablaze by a small fire, and the tongue is a fire. And no truer word is said. It's just at the moment we have had the interview that's been on the TV all over the world of Prince Harry and his wife Meghan. And look at the impact that has had on the entire world. It has stirred up hatred. It has stirred up racism. It has stirred up bickering within the family. It has stirred up really sad, angry, frustrated emotions, all from the tongue, from their speaking about things that they feel they have been treated unfairly. And really, they should have held their tongue, and they should have gone and spoken directly to the people that they felt were not listening to them, instead of using their tongue publicly to cause such harm. And it's so sad. So I think these verses, we can learn from them. What impact does our tongue and what we say have on other people? Do you keep quiet when people make you angry? Do you bite your tongue? You know, it's an expression that actually is very true. Bite your tongue, because as Jesus says, you know, if the eye offends, pluck it out. If your left hand's doing something, you know, bad, then cut it off, because it is better to not do something, to hold your tongue, than to speak and cause incredible harm. So I hope that's given you something to think about in these few verses, and I'll see you for the next section of chapter 3. Bye.